Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are at St Olave's Church in Hart Street, London. Close the door nice and quietly. It's not a big church, so it won't be a massively long life. It's got a nice little garden and stuff outside, but as with all the churches I do or explore, it's bigger than I thought. There it is, that as well. Bell rope tucked up on there so no one can ring the bell. This one was badly damaged in the war, like the church we'll be going to see soon. Right. James Dean, Esquire. That's all in Latin, but Jacobus is the Latin name for James, and Dean, their surname is. It was hard for them to Latinise English surnames, so it's generally what you got. And I will save the main person that I've come to see till last, St Clement. It's all in Latin, that. In memoria sacrum, which is in sacred remembrance of Petro, Turino, Guillimeni, Turneri, Patris, which is Peter, and then William something. Extremely old door. Pardon me. Still light vessel, Smith's Knoll. This phone is much better than my smartphone. It really struggled with reflections and glass, did that one. All Hallows Church, which we'll be going to see next after I've done this one, was one I did with the smartphone. Now the inside, like the main body of the church, was fine because it's brightly lit in there. But the crypt, which for myself I found most interesting, you really couldn't see anything of it. Interestingly enough, I'll have to get my other phone out to find the details. Consecrated to the memory of Paul and Andrew Baminge, Esquire. P-A-V, which is probably a U, Pavli or Pauli. Baninge, Esquire, 1616. Yeah. I'll show you, I nearly showed you something too quickly that I want to try and save till last. Architectural details, which I always like to try and pick up on. Things like this, look. Memorials everywhere. And the wife of Sir... Oh goodness, there's stuff in the way. I wonder if it's okay to go there. Just have a look. I don't like... No, I won't go to an altar. I don't like stepping on altars, but I can't see the name. Buried here is Dame Anne, the wife of Sir John Radcliffe, knight, who died on the 10th day of December, Anno Domini, 1585. Matthew Humberston, 1694. Some very old memorials in this church, and this is the first time I've been to this one. I always, when I do a church, I go around the side way first and then do the main body or the altar last. Queen Elizabeth I, St Mary and St Catherine. Now, Queen Elizabeth I is one of my favourite Tudors. So, the Virgin Queen, as they say. Or as they said, and she said. And up there is Elizabeth Fry. Elizabeth Fry has cropped up in a couple of my videos and stuff before. This is obviously important or famous women, this window. Elizabeth Fry is, I've shown her at Barking Church, St Margaret's, at the Quaker burial ground there. Yeah, so here she is again. There you have Florence Nightingale. Here you have Josephine Butler, and if I am honest, I don't know who Josephine Butler is, but I will look out and find out. 1828 to 1906. And there you've got Edith Cavell, 1865 to 1915. Stained glass in many of the churches is really beautiful, and obviously this church was badly bombed in the war, so this will be very highly likely post-war. Hicks, Petrus, Copinus, Florentinus, Peter Copinus Florentinus. See, the thing is, what you need to remember in those days, most of the people that could have afforded a memorial like this would have been very well schooled in Latin. We're not nowadays, but the majority of us aren't, unless you go to a private school, and then you may learn Latin. One of Luke's favourite objects, all covered up. That will be a bishop's throne. Oh, I was saying, did you hear that? It sounded like someone just walked across there. That's strange. Memory, Sir Andrew Rickard, Knight, merchant of London, whose active piety, inflexible... Let me get down so I can see it properly. Active piety, inflexible integrity, and extensive abilities alike distinguished and exalted him in the opinions of the wise and good. Adverse to his wish, he was frequently chosen chairman of the Honourable East India Company, and filled with equal credit for 18 successive years the same eminent station in the Turkey Company. Among many instances of his love to God and liberal spirit towards man, one as it is demands peculiar praise deserves to be distinctly recorded. He nobly left the perpetual advowson of this parish in trust to 5 of its senior inhabitants. He died on the 6th of September in the year of our Lord 1672 of his age 68 years, or his age 68. Manet post Funera virtuous. Nearly fell over then. Andream Rickardum. Andrew Rickardum, Rickard. All in Latin. But it's the architecture of the places that like this that I love. Well, don't that just look real fine and purty? Purty as a southern bow. And this window is all the coats of arms, probably of people buried here or people that had positions or whatnot, or were parishioners here. Important people, of course. The organ. Cool. Wind's picking up, or you can hear it blowing in the thingamajig in the tower, bell tower. This is a rubbing from a very old memorial that will be under the carpet or something like that, I should think. Pews are obviously post-war. The church, I think it's in the description I remember reading, that it was really badly damaged or even kind of partially destroyed in the war. And I always leave the high altar till last. So that'll be the last bit I show you. So I give you a little pan round of the architecture. And the gentleman I came to see, mainly came to see, is one of my favourite Londoners. We know a lot about London at the time. The Republic under Oliver Cromwell, and then when King Charles came back and all that, we know because of this man. Let me introduce you to Mr. Samuel Pepys, born on the February the 25th, 1632, and died May the 26th, 1703. Erected 1883 by public subscription, mainly owing to the efforts of Henry Benjamin Wheatley, 1838 to 1917, DCLA FSA editor of the complete edition of Pepys' diaries. That man is very important, because what we need to say about Pepys is he wrote his diaries in shorthand, which is like code to most people. And that man that we've just mentioned, he was the one that decoded it, and the diaries were published in full by him. So yeah, and this is Samuel Pepys, and we know a lot about Restoration London and pre-Restoration London because of this man. Very, very interesting character was Samuel Pepys. Very interesting. Samuel Pepys' diaries are absolutely fascinating. If you read them, they're a bit heavy-handed because of the language, but I got them in the unabridged audiobook edition, which is a bit easier, like really good to listen to, because it tells you so much about London and shows you pretty much that people, although it's a long time ago, they haven't really much changed, or we haven't much changed to where they were back then. And bearing in mind this was kind of like the age of enlightenment, science and everything like that was coming along. Samuel Pepys in his diaries kind of examined his own behaviour scientifically, which was interesting to read. Yeah, this is Samuel Pepys, and zoom you back out. Where was she? Over here. Ah, there we are. You have Elizabeth Pepys, Samuel's wife. Elizabeth Pepys. That's all in Latin. This is the monument that Samuel had raised to her, so it's actually from the time. And this bust is really one of the best goes at a true likeness of Elizabeth that we're likely to get. So yeah. In those days, people, and Samuel Pepys wasn't like mega rich or nobility or anything, but he did really well for himself. He was born the son of a tailor in Salisbury Court. John and Elizabeth Pepys were his parents, and he had some connections, like through family, through the Montagues, and they got him a position at the Navy Board, and he worked his way up through really hard work. He did work really hard, Samuel Pepys. What he got, come the end of his life, he really did earn for himself, investing, things like that. He was a clever man. And something one of my page members pointed out as well recently, when I was talking about Samuel Pepys, is when the Great Fire of London came, he buried his Parmesan cheese in his wine to protect it from the fire. Yeah, very complex and interesting man. He worked his way up to be clerk of the Navy Board and clerk of the Acts. Did all right for himself, did Samuel Pepys. But when King William of Orange and Mary came along, Samuel Pepys really wasn't on their side, so he was kind of sent packing, but he was okay. He did all right, Samuel Pepys. And we'll see back at his wife again, Elizabeth. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They were away. In those days, it was fashionable to go on something called like the Grand Tour, where you'd go away for a few months and go to different countries and see a bit of the world and that. Samuel Pepys and his wife Elizabeth were doing that, but Samuel Pepys kind of cut it short because he was a workaholic and he wanted to get back home to work. But they was in France because Elizabeth Pepys, her maiden name was de Saint-Michel. She was French, obviously. And they was visiting France, and that's where she fell ill, and by the time they got back, she was very, very ill. And she died shortly afterwards, and quite young. Samuel Pepys didn't remarry again, but he did have a mistress when in later life. She's actually referred to in one of an account as good Mrs. Pepys. They was more or less kind of living as common law husband and wife. And the ceiling is really lovely. I mean, you think that's post-war, because this place was really badly damaged in the war. They've done a really good job. I like the coats of arms a lot. The pulpit, which looks very, very old, so it may be old, but it may be a replacement from after the war, or given by another parish or something, so not quite sure about that. Very impressive organ screen up there. Anyone that knows me knows I love church organs. And with my old phone, nothing really would have shown up in somewhere like this area, because in dark areas it couldn't pick up well. And you've got another trapdoor there, like we've seen in a few of the churches. The bell ropes will come down from there for the bell ringers to obviously ring the bells. Excuse me, sorry. I wonder who that is in there. I'll have to try and research that. It's not going to be that man up there, because he died in 1952, and this is obviously a medieval person. A king, by the looks of it. It's likely going to be King Richard, possibly. Richard the Lionheart. I'll check that. And the wooden noise under here implies that we're probably walking on a trapdoor of some description. Ooh. Better not, it's quite loud. But that may go down into the crypt or something, which is very interesting, that kind of thing. Oh yeah, 23 minutes. The high altar. That'll make a nice screenshot if someone wouldn't mind doing that, please. It'll be 30-minute pre-records from now on, because Facebook's really playing up lately, and it keeps muting the sound after about 32 minutes. When I put it on YouTube, I'll get Rob to blend it together, so you'll have the outside and the inside. But when I do them on Facebook, I'll do it in two separate uploads as part 1 and part 2, because it will just mute the sound otherwise. And obviously it spoils the effect and it's quite irritating. This has piqued my interest, I can't resist. Oh. Oh, that's slightly disappointing. You imagine like stairs going down into a crypt or something like that. Well, I do anyway, so, but yeah. At least I checked. We're at 25 minutes, so I'll give you a little dash of the stained glass again. My favourite piece. The stand pillars and this will obviously, all this kind of stuff will be original, and you can see the damage on that from the war. But this one, like All Hallows, is what the purists call a sympathetic restoration. They've done it nicely. That screenshot as well, please. Or I can do those or whatnot, but... That's it. That's even because I can screenshot that. I need something that's like a little strip. Right. And once again I've done it again. Nearly knocked something over. People don't call me Clumsy Claude for nothing. But yeah, well, at least it wasn't, nothing got knocked over. But as I was saying, yeah, I need a little strip kind of thing, picture for my YouTube. I like the crown on that. That's a crown. And the other one is a bishop's mitre. Oh look, I didn't notice those. That's that, the band thing that they wear, I can't think what it's called. Like a stole, but a religious version of that. Mr. Samuel Pepys again. Fascinates me, just Samuel Pepys. My trust God alone is in. Beautiful stained glass. St Clement. And there's a little stained glass window up there which I didn't capture. Oh, these here, as I always point out, there's two of them. Most churches have two church wardens, but this will be where the church wardens, staffs or rods of office go on Sundays. And churches that you can visit during the week, they normally take them out. Barking leaves theirs in, but I think that's lockable, that kind of thing. And if they're old and valuable, they're going to remove them, aren't they, during the week? Right. Absolutely stunning, that stained glass really is. Lovely. And considering the damage that was done during the war, all the glass in here is more than likely post-war, and it's, well, you can see an amazing job. I'm not quite sure about with that though, if that is post-war or before, but what I read about the church is it was very badly damaged in the war, so it more than likely is. Right, take care all. See you soon. If you did like that, please give it a like and a share. Take care. could have been a bone chute, like we saw at Bargain for bones to come down when they needed room in the churchyard. The reason I'm being so quiet is this is not a permission visit. I was just double checking because my bag is up there. Hiya.
Hi, it's actually really dangerous to come down.
That is St Olave. So I wanted to correct that one. Stickler for the correct details. And under here are the ashes of parishioners. So yeah, that wasn't an entrance into the crypt anyway. Right, so I did get caught, but the lady was very, very nice about that, so that's okay. And we'll do the outside bit of the church now. It's quite interesting, the crypt. She said that young lady, she said, well, more than anything, you frightened me more than anything to see mysterious lights going off down there. This, what you will see here, how high this is compared to down there, wasn't always like that. And this is something that absolutely put the living fear of God into Samuel Pepys. This is from the plague, that so many people were buried here that it literally raised the level of the churchyard up by about 2 foot. So yeah, and when Samuel Pepys went by and said that when he saw the churchyard piled high in St Olave's, it did really scare him, really scare him. And he lived in London and stayed in London through the plague. He could never work out quite why he didn't get it, the plague. But in his diaries once he wrote that in an inn in those days, if you were a single man and you were travelling and you stayed at an inn, you'd have to share a bed with a complete stranger. And the beds were all louse ridden, which they were. And Samuel Pepys wrote that all the fleas went to him and not to me. And some people now, fleas don't bite them. So Samuel Pepys was probably, definitely that's why he escaped. So yeah, we're going to see the outside of the church now. But yeah, we did get caught, but the lady was very nice about it. She went, it's actually really dangerous to be down here without the light on. So yeah, it was slightly embarrassing, but yeah, she was okay about that. She was fine about that. Point you down a minute, because there's people in there. Yeah. Lovely church and churchyard. Well, church. The churchyard isn't that lovely because of what I said about it. Point that up like that. So. And it's got like all old proper traditional English plants in here, which we'll now see. One of the things that St Olave's is most iconic for the three skulls on the gate. Christus, Viver, Morris, Mihi, Lepcrum, 11 April 1658. So yeah, from the burial register. Famous people buried here. 1586, September the 14th, Mother Goose. 1665, the Great Plague, 365 names, hence why the churchyard is so piled so high. Buried in a vault under ye communion table, Samuel Pepys, on June the 4th, 1703. Samuel Pepys, Esquire. Now we'll go and see the front bit of the church. Didn't take very long, this one. About 25 minutes, half an hour. It's not a massive church, but there's a lot of history in it, particularly with the Pepeses and the first ever Inuits to come to England. Inuit or Inuits, I don't know how many of them there were, but one of them, I believe, maybe more, was buried in this church. So that would have been something quite unusual at the time. Let's cross over without getting killed. Hart Street. This is the front of the church. I had to wait for people to go by. Oh, it smells of shit here. Oh, I had to wait for people to go by. Sorry, I didn't. That sounded really crude and vulgar, didn't it? Yeah, it really does smell of poo here, though, I'm afraid. There we are. Cross over once again. And that's the ship pub down there. I won't point that because there's all people there. But yeah, this is where we've just been in here. This is me, of course. So yeah, enjoyed that one. A lot of history. Something a bit naughty, did get caught, but she was quite reasonable about it. She said that we don't, at the moment, they're not really letting people down in the crypt. I had to move a little metal thing to get in to the gate and go down there. But she said the main thing, she went, no, it is okay. She went, but the main thing was just seeing lights down there and not knowing that anyone's there. She went, I was a bit, because apparently she finds the crypt really frightening. So yeah, what are we now? We're only at 6 minutes. So we'll cross over. Busy up this part of London, you see. There we are. Heavy restoration in the war, and this is called Pepys Street, fittingly enough. And we'll go and see a little bit of Samuel Pepys now in his London. Well, not his London, but our London, but they've tried to depict a bit of his London in our London, if you get my drift. Now, sprinklers are on. Shall I get wet? No. I like these. All carved into the floor, different things from Pepys' time and such. The main thing is what Samuel Pepys related. Samuel Pepys' code is shorthand from his diary in 1659 to 60. So don't forget, in those days the new year didn't fall on the 1st of January, it fell on 25th of March on Lady Day. So when they changed everything over, it meant that it drew quite a lot of people up. Trinitas. The Navy board where Pepys would have worked. The flea that caused the plague that Pepys said, and all the fleas went to him and not to me, and that's what saved Pepys' life. Monkey on books. A plague doctor. And this is exactly what they dressed in. Must have been bloody terrifying seeing one of them come along. You knew you'd had it when you saw the Plague Doctor. London in Flames, the Great Fire of London. Pepys also wrote about that. I'm doing a specific Samuel Pepys' London kind of thing. It won't be long like my first documentary. That was on 3 men, so it was over an hour long. But yeah, it won't be a long one. Samuel Pepys. And you've got more of these things all carved along here. They are quite good, I must say. That's from a play. I thought it was a scene from hell, but it's from a play. And what we've just seen on the church, look, the 3 skulls. And that's Christ triumphing over death. That's what that's to represent. Nice smell here. Chamomile. Pepys Garden. Church, where we've just come from. So, get you back to Mr. Pepys and then end it there. Hope you all found that interesting. Please give it a like and a share if you did.